I have an announcement. We are going to be doing something quite stupid that we promised we would never do, but we are going back to Amity. That's right. We're going to live tweet the Amityville movie as it finally comes out.
Thursday, October 12th.
Free for everyone on Google Play. We're going to live tweet 8 p.m.
No faith
Eastern
in the film.
Thursday, October 12th.
8 p.m. Eastern time. You can put it on, watch along with us. We're going to live tweet it. It'll be a big party. We'll come up with a hashtag. It'll be a super fun thing. So join us for that. It'll be really goofy, good time. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am Trip Lano, one half of the Mega Podcasting Powers. And with me, as always, is a man who would probably try to hook up with the ghost of Liam Neeson circa 1984, even if it was known that he was a murderer. The Macho Mandrew.
Andrew Lano, and you bet your ass I would.
Yeah, it's a very good Liam Neeson.
It's like prime Liam. It's a Liam Neeson I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And like the current Liam Neeson, the one we got now, great. I'm on board with that Liam. But like now that I know this was an option, I'm on board even more.
We'll put a pin in Liam Neeson because we'll come back to it right after
we don't meet him
this.
for like another hour.
Yeah, we will come back to Liam Neeson. Don't you worry. We're an 80s podcast every other week. We talk about 80s movies and make fun of them, usually from a place of love, but sometimes from pure abject hatred. We're starting the 2017 with the first of our two horror comedies, High Spirits. So you know what that means.
We gotta go back. We gotta go dissect the 80s. It's your murder ghosts. Something's gotta be done about your murder ghosts.
When the mega powers explode.
I'm talking about the 80s.
Great Scott.
Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah.
Mega powers, yeah.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Let's put the word horror in like big ol' air quotes.
Yeah, this is just a comedy. It's a ghost comedy.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
Yeah. I thought based on the trailer, I thought it was a little more spoopy than it was, but this is pretty much Ghostbusters, which like I have heard people call Ghostbusters a horror comedy. I think that's probably not the correct label.
I mean, it probably has the same amount of jump scares as Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that's not wrong.
But so the movie starts off, and I'm just like, what the hell is this all-star kick-ass cast? It's
it lists names for like an hour. It's
and
so
every
many
single
names.
one of them, you know, it's Peter O'Toole, Beverly D'Angelo, Daryl Hannah, Steve Guttenberg, and I was like, wait a minute.
And then you get to the secondary cast, and it's like Jennifer Tilly, Peter Gallagher, the blood-sucking lawyer from Jurassic Park.
Okay, I didn't. That he was one. So this
Liam Neeson.
This was a movie where I either knew the name or I knew the face, but everyone got known somehow.
Yeah. And apologies to Mr. Ferrero, but he is going to be called the blood-sucking lawyer for the duration of this podcast.
All of my notes say lawyer from Jurassic Park.
I abbreviated him as BSL, blood-sucking lawyer.
But yeah, so I'm like, wait a minute. How have I never heard of this movie? It's got so many people I love in it. And then I watched the movie and I knew exactly why I'd never heard of it. But it just led to questions of like, how did they con all of these people into being in this movie?
So I think that this just happened. Like Beverly D'Angelo, I don't know if she'd done Vacation yet. When was the first Vacation movie?
Let me check. Because this was 89. So it's like late in the 80s.
Then she definitely... Okay, then never mind. If it was 89, I'm confident that she had
done Vacation
two
and
vacations.
European.
Yeah. Daryl Hannah had done Splash already. Gutenberg is like...
And she had done Blade Runner.
Oh, wow, okay. And Good is at like the height of his popularity here.
Peter
O'Toole's a Hollywood legend. So,
how did they trick all these people? Like,
you know what I wonder? I wonder if this was the filming location was somewhere awesome. Like they got to live in Glasgow.
They were in Ireland. So like I have to imagine that I would do that.
So it's like, okay, you're going to make this crappy horror comedy. We're spending a lot of money on special effects because they definitely did. And you get to live in Ireland for a month. So like I could see that swaying many of these actors.
I can believe that. That does make sense. it's funny because just off the bat, I'm just gonna say my sort of general thought was, it feels like a made-for-TV movie. Like it feels like a Goosebumps episode the way it's shot.
Yes, it is. It is cheap looking.
Yeah, okay, cheap looking. I couldn't. That's the best way for me to phrase that. I was like, TV movie, Goosebumps in the '90s, cheap looking.
Yeah, it's cheap looking except for the makeup. The makeup's
all amazing.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's what's weird is so it's almost like they were trying to copy Ghostbusters and they got some of the pieces and just missed the mark of the kind of magic of that. It's a really good script and written by people who are going to perform it and all those pieces that make Ghostbusters so great.
Yeah.
But it is odd because the makeup in this movie shouldn't be the makeup in this movie is basically out of a completely different movie.
It looks like they were like, oh, wait, Daryl, since you're done with that movie, can you and Liam come on over to our movie real quick? Do a couple scenes, like while you're on lunch break.
Yeah. So this starts out with Peter O'Toole is the owner proprietor of this castle that you can sleep at. I guess it's a castle B&B basically. And they're out of money. They're going to have to be foreclosed on. And he is like ready to kill himself in his office. And then his mom comes in and is like, what are you doing, you idiot? And then she starts talking about how these various ghosts in the family are going to be disappointed with him. And he gets the great idea to make a fake haunted house that you can stay in overnight. Which, let me put this out there right now. This is an untapped market. Like,
yeah, Psych talked about this already. This movie talks about, like, come on, people.
There are people who would pay. Now, you'd have to do this, I think, seasonally. I don't think people are going to want to do this in, say, January. But, like, October rolls around, and you can do, like, a night at a haunted place. I feel like you're going to make some money at that.
I think I'm going to be bold and say you can do, like, late August to mid-November. And, like, anywhere in that time frame, I'm probably willing to do something like that.
Yeah, and it needs to be, like, a quaint little inn that's normally a bed and breakfast, and then it's like, but in October, it's blood and breakfast. And they, like, do this. Where
the same way that, like, regular farms will turn into haunted hayrides.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's apple picking and then chainsaw murderers.
I would go apple picking if that, like, they're like, oh, sometimes a chainsaw murderer pops out and you gotta outrun him.
Yeah. I feel like this would be very cool, and I don't know if I would want to stay there multiple nights because, like, eventually I would want to actually sleep. But, like, one night where I know that it's going to be a straight-up Scooby-Doo haunted house experience, I'm there.
I'm super down for that.
People pay gobs of money to go to other kinds of haunted houses and be scared. It seems like they would pay a little bit more money to sleep the night at one. I'm just saying. I feel like this is an untapped market.
People do that for actual, like, allegedly haunted places, like the Lizzie Borden house and things like that. Like, people will do it. But
yes.
I got confused because he's on the phone and, like, this movie didn't do enough explaining, but then it explained too much of things that I didn't care about.
Yes, that is a great way to put this.
I was like, you missed, like, points A, B, and C, but thank God you covered 1, 2, and 3. He's on the phone with the bank, and there's people listening at the door, and he's clearly lying to the bank, apparently, and then his mom talks about the ghosts, and he's like, oh, I'll turn it into a ghost haunted house, like a ghost bed and breakfast. And the whole staff is like, there aren't any ghosts here. And I was like, wait a minute. There's nothing that says the mom is lying, so why would you do that to us?
So, I agree, it was messy. But clearly later, she sees her dead husband and is, like, very nonchalant about it, but nobody else can see him. So I wonder, like they definitely need a sign where she has the sight or the touch or the whatever you want to call it, depending on your movie's rules, where, like, we know she has the ability to see ghosts, but not everyone can see ghosts. We needed her to have her Whoopi Goldberg and ghost moment is what we needed.
Or we needed her to be, like, crazy. She needed to look like Professor Trelawney. Like, I needed to believe that... I needed her to be a crazy woman who's like, there are ghosts in the house. And, like...
You guys couldn't see his face when he did that. It was a very funny face. I'm sorry.
It looked very much like a Disney character.
It was more Muppety than that, but go on.
Because, like, then I'm with you. Then I understand that she's crazy, so we'll go with it anyways. But
yes,
it's real muddy.
No, it is. It doesn't get explained at all, and it's confusing for the audience because not long after this conversation, while they're having fake ghosts preparations, we very quickly learn that there is the real ghost, at least of the husband. So it's very bizarre.
They're setting up a lot of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, we get a Scooby Doo it up montage, which is really fun.
I
where
really
they're
enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was like probably my favorite part of the movie. They're like building sets and rigging up ropes to do flying acts and those kind of things. And it's real silly, but it's also pretty fun.
Yeah.
The only thing that's weird about the setting up the haunts and the scares is for some reason there's one scene with an alligator, which I was like, well, why would that be in these haunted things?
That feels more Scooby-Doo than haunted.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But there's a scene where, like, this guy drops a mirror and decapitates a dummy, and he's like, you'll see what that means later. And then plot twist, you don't.
No, you super don't. You super don't.
I was like, when is that coming back? Like, are they going to show someone die? And like, oh, there's the bellhop getting decapitated. Oh, he's right here.
That honestly felt like a moment where they made a legit mistake and that wasn't supposed to fall and they caught it on film and they were like, I don't know, we'll work with it.
Okay, I believe that. So then we cut to a plane where we got the Goot being the Goot and Bev being Bev.
Yeah, she is pretty much playing, like, forgive the term, but like cold, frosty version of Ellen Griswold. Like,
I think we can call her the one-dimensional version of Ellen Griswold.
Oh, for sure. But she, like, they use every stereotype that they use in like a shitty movie to make a woman seem like the evil character. Like she's frigid. Like she does not into Steve Guttenberg. She doesn't want to fool around with her husband. Blah 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 blah. She also takes like 40 Vicodin, or I'm sorry,
Valium.
40 Valium in like a 12-hour period in this movie, which I'm pretty sure would kill a horse.
Yeah, she definitely takes enough Valium to tranquilize an animal for surgery.
Yeah.
But again, this is another problem I have where I didn't once believe and understand why Bev was with Guttenberg.
Nope. And clearly they hate each other.
I was from the beginning, but I need the scene. Like, I need them on the plane to be like a little flirty. Like, she could be like, I'm not gonna have sex on the plane, but like giggle, like I'm in love with you, so that like we need a journey.
Yeah, these characters start off hating each other, and then they break up, and you're like, well, that's the logical thing for them to do.
Do they actually break up officially? Does anyone say that word?
We'll get to that. This relationship is the weirdest thing we've covered, and not in like a weird, creepy way where it's like, rapey. Yeah. It's just like, I don't like, who wrote this, and have they ever been in a relationship with another human being?
I think it's up there with Big Business. It's like the end of Big Business.
Yeah, where it's like, this is not okay.
None of this swap wives.
They don't just swap wives; they swap lives in Big Business.
Life swap.
Like, get out of here with that. So he's like pouring champagne and trying to be like romantic. They're going on this second honeymoon, and she's like not having it. She takes Valium, she puts her eye mask on, and then the Goot switches seats and sits next to this old woman who like is not paying attention to him, doing a crossword or something, and he starts trying to give her champagne, and she's like, no. And then like the hilarious joke to close out the scene, liberal air quotes here, is he goes, I guess sex is off the table, and then kind of smirks to himself to drink champagne. And like, I get that they set that up with Bev D'Angelo, but that is a pretty shitty thing to say to this old woman. By the way, Mr. Guttenberg.
He's kind of a shitty character.
You think so?
I think so. We will discuss why. I literally wrote, oh, so he's apparently a shithead, as a note. Towards the end of the movie, the last like 20 minutes.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. So... Yeah, put a pin in that. That is Liam Neeson, pin for later. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Later in this episode. So they get off the plane.
Coming
and they get
up
on
next
this...
in the hour. Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson and his very handsome face. So they get on this weird bus, and on the bus we meet the other people who are going to be at this hotel. It's the blood-sucking lawyer and his wife and their 3 children, who are the children are barely in the movie. And
I didn't know one of them was a girl. I didn't know one of them was a girl because they all have the same haircut and same clothes.
They do all look identical. It's a very what's the famous movie where they have all the children and they sing the song?
Sound of Music?
Yes, thank you. What's the name of the family, though?
Oh, the Von Trapps.
Yeah.
Can I get like a round of applause for understanding your reference of?
Oh, come on, that was very logical. The big family. Come on, I feel
Play
like
the
that
tape. What did you just say?
I feel like I said
The
big
family with the singing.
The big family with the singing is a pretty good. I feel like everyone in the audience out there who knows that movie was like yelling at it, waiting for you to say it. So I feel like that's not as weird as you're giving yourself credit for. But in any case, it's also Jennifer Tilly and Pete Gallagher who have like a weird flirty thing, despite the fact that Pete Gallagher is a priest.
I also I don't think I've seen like young Jennifer Tilly before. I haven't like
she looks the same as, forgive the word, old Jennifer Tilly.
Current Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah.
But like I was gonna say, I don't like every Jennifer Tilly performance I've seen. I think has been like 2000s and after, and I was like, oh wow, like she definitely looks like the young version of herself, but she doesn't look drastically different.
No. Also, just a PSA, since we talked about it a bunch on our Chucky episode, the most recent Chucky movie comes on to Netflix. I think this is after. I can't remember when this episode drops, but October 3rd it came to Netflix. So if you're a Chucky head out there or a burgeoning one after our episode, you can watch the most recent Chucky on Netflix.
Is she
Cult
in
of
it?
Chucky.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
great.
So just tying that back to Jennifer Tilly. But also you got Pete Gallagher pre-eyebrow face takeover. Because like he is circa OC, Pete Gallagher has some real bushy brows that are just like, I'm coming to get you, Seth. Like very big eyebrow action, and they're not quite face hugger eyebrows in this, which is nice.
No, not
but
quite.
also they have this like weird back and forth relationship, tete-a-tete thing, and then then they just disappear from the movie with like 25 minutes left to go, and it's very weird how that gets resolved. This movie does a lot of juggling of very different balls. And then suddenly just like drops a bunch and is like, I don't know, they're on the floor now.
Doing it.
So they're
they're
on this
basically
bus.
it's basically the Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem bus. But
Yes,
for
it
people.
is. Yes, it absolutely is. And they're driving down these country roads and they're preparing like the first scare that they're going to get people on the way to the castle. And it's a woman in like a very homemade flying rig, and they swing her out to be a banshee, and it immediately breaks, and she like crashes onto the roof of this bus and is like screaming for help because she's basically teen wolfing this bus.
But I don't know. It's it's one of the buses that has the gate around the top. It's sort of like a little bit
A
of
luggage rack.
Oh yeah, a luggage rack. I was like, you seem pretty safe up there. Like there's worse buses to be stuck on.
I mean, yes, but I would not want to be on
The
top
bus
of a
from
car.
Speed, for instance.
But do you want to be on top of a car driven by this probably alcoholic man bumping down a country road?
I wouldn't have freaked out as much as she did. She was reacting as though she was in the bus from Speed.
She has the full-on freak out and is a panic up there, and they finally...
Steve
the goon
Gutenberg
goes
opens the top like a sardine can.
Yes. I didn't think that was a feature on buses until much later, because I rode on school buses without those air vents, and then they were implemented as I got older, so I didn't know that existed all the way back then.
The bus goes... There's some silly bus hijinks, and it ends up in the lake, river, loch. We'll say loch. It's Ireland.
Yeah, Locke. And he's like, don't worry, it's amphibious, and just starts driving it in the water.
This ain't the magic school bus, buddy.
I don't see Miss Frizzle.
Seatbelts, everyone!
I don't see Miss Frizzle.
Or her sister, and then if we're talking about the reboot.
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, because they were like, oh, because they have Lily Tomlin there as Miss Frizzle, and I was like, is it her daughter? And then she was like, oh, sis, thanks for cleaning up the bus, and I was like, wait a minute, really? We're going with sisters?
Her sister would be the same age. What is the point of that?
Apparently not. Apparently her sister's in her like late 20s.
Also, why does it need to be this contrived thing? Why can't they just have it be Miss Frizzle and have her be whatever age they want it to be? It's a fucking show about a magic school bus. Can we just have Miss Frizzle be a witch that we all know that she is?
A Time Lord, essentially.
Yeah. What? Fine. Who could possibly care? Are they really spending time on continuity of the Miss Frizzle?
Apparently it's just like it's in the trailer. She's just like, thanks, sis. It's literally like a throwaway line of establishing who Kate McKinnon is because I think they were like we were able to get Lily Tomlin. So if you're able to get her, why not use her?
Well, she could have played like another role.
She could have played did the bus talk?
She could have done literally anything. They could have just had her be another character.
Because I think all the kids look exactly the same.
Well,
which is
yeah,
weird.
I get that. But they cast a really good Miss Frizzle and Kate McKinnon. I don't understand why you have to have a continuity conversation in a goddamn Magic School Bus reboot.
But that's what I mean.
What
Like,
are we
the
talking
kids are
about?
exactly the same. So I don't know why Miss Frizzle couldn't just be Miss Frizzle if the kids are the same.
Yeah. That is like we talk about some weird shit on this show, and the fact that there is a retconned Miss Frizzle as
Sister.
the right that's the weirdest fucking thing we've talked about in a very long time.
I don't know why Lily Tomlin just isn't voicing Miss Frizzle again. She's still great.
Well, I did not know she was. I did not know Lily Tomlin was the original Miss Frizzle.
Yeah, Lily Tomlin.
So it is a proper torch passing that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
What is they care less about continuity in like major motion picture reboots of beloved franchises. They
Look
didn't
at
give
you,
that much
Gem
of a
and the
shit about the
Holograms.
goddamn Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Ghostbusters, Gem and the Holograms, like F off. But Magic
What
School
are we
Bus.
doing? This is not a sacred text. It's a stupid children's show. Oh, that's just bizarre. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we just talked about Magic School Bus for
It's
5
fine.
minutes, but it's ridiculous.
I'm not mad about it. I will always talk about Kate McKinnon if given the opportunity.
So anyway, they go to this castle, and then they have this dumb joke that gets extended like way past the rule of 3 of every single dish is a variation of whiting. So, it's whiting stew and boiled whiting and steamed whiting and whiting sandwiches. And it becomes a running joke in the movie where, like, later another character says, oh, like, don't worry, I'll make you a whiting sandwich and go inside. And, there's also a part where a fish starts singing and the guy says something about whiting. And was there, like, a hilarious run on whiting jokes in 1989 that we just don't know about?
I didn't even
Like,
know whiting was a fish.
I don't understand why there's such an emphasis on whiting, but there is so much emphasis on whiting in this movie.
We also get, like, what I believe to be the second and only other use of a parapsychologist other than Casper.
Oh, who's weirdly trained at Duke University. I don't think they have that program at the Duke University anymore.
I wouldn't think so. That might have been discontinued after 89. But the lawyer from Jurassic Park is a parapsychologist, and immediately I was like Christina Ricci's dad from Casper? Bill Pullman? Pullman?
He has all sorts of ghost busting equipment, which is, it breaks our sacred rule of stop reminding me I'm not watching a movie that's better than you.
Right? Because it's very clearly Ghostbusters adjacent.
Oh yeah, it's homemade tech and just all sorts of nonsense. And then at the other end of the table is Pete Gallagher, the priest, with Jennifer Tilly, and
she is coming in hot and leaving hot.
Oh, absolutely. She wants a piece of that Gallagher. So they adjourn to a bar after dinner, and they're singing and drinking beers,
and no one's allowed to talk while they're singing.
Yeah, it's a very this is why I don't stay at B&Bs. Because, I just feel like there's too many scheduled activities that I just don't want to be a part of.
I don't want to do puzzles in the living room surrounded by everybody else.
Yeah, I don't have any interest. I don't know these people. I want to be in control of my vacation. Like, I got to eat breakfast when you say I got to eat breakfast. That's not a vacation. That's life.
5:45 a.m.
That's life. But so, yeah, they have to sit and quietly watch this singing, and then they can order their beers between songs, so everybody, rushes up there to buy beer. It's very stupid.
The conceit is that it's all part of the spoopy experience they've created at the castle, which for some reason includes puppet show about the ocean and mermaids for no discernible reason.
What it needs to be is in a better movie, it would be them giving the history of the castle very quickly with puppets. So that it's this explains all the scares you're going to get this weekend. This guy killed his wife. And
I was like, why is it a mermaid? Why is it the ocean? Why is it all flats like this? What is happening? Yeah,
it's very weird. And then it's very cornball, flat cardboard pieces that it's made of.
This is a reference we saw this together, but I don't think you've seen it since. It's very similar to Coraline when she goes to the performance space in the other world and it's all cardboard moving flats and wood.
Right. I think it also is referencing British theater. Don't they do a lot of shows like, or didn't they used to do many shows like this around holidays?
That's true. Yeah, like a panto.
Yeah. But anyway, so they tell the spooky story of the haunted house and all that stuff, and then we cut to like everybody going to bed, and one of the haunts that they'd prepared was a suit of armor that they for some reason spray painted black, which I don't quite understand.
No, they were spraying they were cobwebbing it.
I thought they were cobwebbing the bar. The suit of armor looked like they turned it black.
No, I
Anyway,
think-
it's in any case, whether or not it's a suit of armor with a guy in it, and this woman is like taking off her garters and her underwear and stuff and handing it to what she thinks is her husband, but is this suit of armor, which is like fine if it's a haunted house.
She
But-
drapes it on the armor knowingly first, and then later, like 2 seconds later, which is only important because she then later doesn't notice when the thing isn't in the room.
Well, also, it's just like a dude watching this woman undress. It's like deeply uncomfortable.
See, I genuinely wasn't sure if this was a dude because you could see through the armor at points.
It's
it
not
was very
supposed to be
Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
It's not supposed to be Bedknobs and Broomsticks. It's 100% supposed to be a guy.
Fraguna
pretending to be a ghost.
McCoides.
Yeah, it is not that. It is 100% a guy pretending to be a ghost in a suit of armor.
Well, we know that, but I wasn't sure if in the realm of the movie it was like, oh, we don't know as the audience, is it real? Is it not? Is
No.
it part of the thing?
We 100%. We saw them prep the suit of armor. 100%. We know that that's a dude in there who's a peeping tom.
Well, it's his mom, a peeping mom, really.
Well, fine, but it's still creepy. Can you
couldn't
just
pass
get
that
on the
up.
fucking
I
page with
cou-
me that it's creepy that a person is hanging out in their bedroom watching them get naked? You're like fighting me so hard. Get up here. Get up here on the ledge.
I thought differently about it. I thought different weird.
It's so creepy. Like, I would be so upset if I found out that the fake haunting was them watching me get naked.
Yeah. But they're also really dumb. Like, they're all so dumb that I don't feel bad for any of them.
Well, yeah, every character in this movie is a nightmare.
Like, there's 0% chance you don't hear a suit of armor walking behind you. Like, there's
Right.
0% chance you don't remember. Like, if you hung your negligee on a suit of armor, commented on that you had to hang it on a suit of armor and not a coat rack, you would notice when it left your room.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, suits of armor are perhaps the loudest things in existence when they move.
Right?
So, in Jennifer Tilly's room, the bed is spinning and it's like swirling around, and it starts off slow, which I really thought was effective. That she's facing the TV and then she's not facing the TV anymore; she's facing the mirror, and then it starts going faster and faster and faster and faster. And Pete Gallagher rushes in, jumps on the bed with her, and they're like having this weird, like, very sexually tense moment on a spinning bed. But my favorite is when it finally breaks and this bed we watch fall through like 5 floors. How she got up that high in this castle, I don't know. It would have taken her eons, I feel like.
Because we see later they do pan up to show that it's a guy spinning what looks like a spinning wheel from Sleeping Beauty
Yeah, it is.
to make the bed spin, but then all of a sudden the bed lifts off the ground for some reason unknown and then crashes through roughly 30 floors.
And there's no elevators in this medieval castle, by the by.
No, it goes down 30 floors and then we see it go down some stairs and slide into frame.
Also, meanwhile, as the bed, like before that all crashes down, there's a couple of cool scares. I really liked the mirror hologram thing they did.
Yeah.
They bounced the light into the room, and it looked like the guy was crawling around on top of the wife.
Yeah.
Not in a creepy way. He was like stomping on her.
I almost wish they had been able to do that more practically.
Yeah, it did look cool, but it was obviously some sort of
Overlay.
double film thing. Yeah. And then the woman playing the Banshee is swinging around outside, and she's getting mad that Pete Gallagher's not paying attention, so she starts swearing at him, which is
Because they
just
keep making
delightful.
her do it.
Yeah,
They keep
yeah.
like, you didn't see it. Do it again.
And I love that, like, it's so low tech that so it's an arm that swings out and she hangs from it, but to counterweight her, they have another human being tied to the other end of the rope who jumps off, so she gets ripped into the air, and then the thing swings, and then I guess they balance out or whatever. But this poor bastard is like, "Ugh, not again," and they shove him off the thing, and just like, ah! And she goes swinging, and she's like, "You son of a bitch! Look out the window!" It's really very choice.
But then the lawyer from Jurassic Park starts fighting the suit of armor, who is inexplicably on roller skates.
Yeah, I didn't understand that, and especially if it's supposed to be the mom character, like she's very old to be roller skating.
She is frail. She basically went off this movie and then went and played the old lady in Titanic.
So he fights a suit of armor, and then the bed crashes through, and everybody comes downstairs like trying to figure out what the hell's the matter. The bed hits Peter O'Toole, and he like has to climb out of the bed through Jennifer Tilly and Pete Gallagher, which is kind of a fun visual. I will also say that like Peter O'Toole is very committed to this bad movie.
They all pretty much are, though.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get a lot of. Oh God, let's wrap this up, please.
Beverly D'Angelo a little bit for me.
See, I couldn't tell if that was her character or her.
Yeah, I don't know, but I assumed that it was a little bit of each.
Because this is also where because I wrote two-dimensional Beverly D'Angelo, and then oh crap, evil two-dimensional Beverly D'Angelo.
Yeah. So the blood-sucking lawyer is like, all right, all this ghost stuff is a sham. I came here to check to see that you were really haunted. It's obviously a lie. I'm gonna tear you a new one. And then the guy's like, well, look, this son of a bitch owns my castle, and if I can't make money, I'm gonna lose it. And the Goot is like, well, wait, that's my father-in-law. And everybody whips around to look at Beverly D'Angelo with the meanest expressions on their faces. And she's doing it like
already halfway up the stairs.
Yeah, like fastening her robe against her throat and being like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have a different name than that for sure. Excuse me, goodbye.
She basically heard the name and was like, I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yep, yeah, like this tide is about to turn and it will point directly at me. So it turns out that her dad is basically
and Chevy is not here to break me out of it.
Yeah, exactly. You need a good... That's the problem, is she needed the big, broad buffoonery of a Chevy Chase to balance out this character, and Goot is not playing that character.
Because I feel like, for me, a lot of why it works for the vacation movies is that Beverly and Chevy, Bev and Chev, if you will, have... a very similar energy of like they feel the same age, and like Gutenberg does not feel the same age as Beverly D'Angelo.
No, and they might be the same age in this movie, but they just don't feel like it.
They don't carry themselves the same way, and she's very much is what's her name in vacation movies? We have Audrey, Russ,
Ellen Griswold.
Yeah, she's very much still at Ellen mode, which I like. I like that's my favorite. It's mostly the Beverly D'Angelo I don't know. But he just doesn't feel like they're the same. I don't know. Something feels weird about that.
So here's the problem I have with it. It seems like a situation where somebody married somebody for power or money, but Goot doesn't have either of those things, and she does, and he did not. His motivation is not that. So I don't like it. It just doesn't make any sense. The relationship makes no sense because they clearly don't like each other. He is into her for some reason that we don't ever see in the movie. Like, they never explain why he fell in love with her in the first place. She wants nothing to do with him. She like actively avoids having sex with him at every opportunity by taking Valium until she passes out. Like, it's just it's awful. The relationship is awful.
What I needed was, in a second, Goot's gonna drink with Peter O'Toole, and what I needed was like the flashback to when they first met and how they fell in love. I wanted to be like, she's not the girl I married, and like, here's who she was, and I needed that because I just didn't care about the relationship because it just didn't seem like a thing.
Yeah, especially when you're about to have a scene where they're getting drunk together, it could easily have just been like dialogue that explained, oh my God, ever since her dad put her in line to take over the company, she's been a changed woman. Like, okay, I get it now. Like, I'm fine with it. But the way that this is set up is they go in the hallway and they have a fight, and she's like, it's just business. And he just sadly shuffles away. She's like, where are you going? He's like, to get drunk.
He basically hangs his head, and you hear the Charlie Brown music.
Yeah, or the sad walking away music from The Incredible Hulk. Like,
yes,
it just he just like sadly walks down the hallway, and you're like, oh man, the Goot is in a real bad way here.
So he drinks with Peter O'Toole, And then Peter O'Toole's like, let me break out the good stuff, my father's brew. And here's where I was like, oh, is the brew going to make the difference between like seeing ghosts and not seeing ghosts? No, not at all.
No, because that would be way too clever. That would be way more interesting than what this movie does, which is nothing interesting ever.
No. He gets drunk and essentially stumbles into that episode of Buffy where the ghost couple is trapped in the high school.
Oh, yeah, that is kind of what that is.
I was like,
It's also like, not for nothing, but if a strange man who owns a fake haunted castle offers you a dusty bottle that he claims his father, who's now deceased, used to make himself, you don't drink that bottle. Nothing good comes from that.
with no label. Yeah, no, you Emperor's New Groove and toss it into a plant.
Absolutely you do. Anything other than drinking that is the answer.
Yeah, so Goots is drunk and takes the bottle with him, I think.
He does. Yeah, he does.
And he wanders into Ghost Daryl Hannah, who was one half of the Buffy ghost couple.
Yeah.
But she can't see or hear him, and neither can Ghost Liam Neeson.
So they have this scene that they reenact over and over in the movie where she comes running in, he chases her down, he beats her a little bit, then he stabs her. And the Goot watches this happen once, and then the second time he intervenes thinking that it's a show, which is weird because, like, I get thinking it's a show the first go around, but the second go around is like you watch them disappear. That's an impossible special effect.
Especially given like what you know is their budget.
Right. So he gets in the way, and Liam Neeson stabs the Goot instead of Daryl Hannah, which frees her from the loop.
For reasons unknown, or why she was trapped in the loop in the first place.
Yeah, that's never explained at any point in the movie.
I needed to know why she was cursed with that, because she didn't seem like a bad person in any way.
No, and him being caught in that loop where he has to relive murdering her over and
Makes
over again
sense.
seems like a valid penalty for him. But she is also there, and it's really terrible. So
yeah, I didn't quite understand that one. So I love Daryl Hannah. I'm just gonna say that it's the first time many times I'm gonna say I just love Daryl Hannah. She's phenomenal.
oh yeah, for sure.
They like talk briefly and then she disappears. So he's like, I'm going to go to bed. And so he goes to Beverly D'Angelo, and she's snoring. Can't say anything to him when he asks if she ever loved him. The answer is no.
Yeah. I mean, he discerns the correct answer regardless. It's just bizarre.
So he goes to take one of her Valium, but when he's there, Ghost Daryl Hannah's hands pop out of the mirror and like switch them.
She does some sort of magic-y swirl, and I guess
there's a lot of magic swirls in this movie.
Yeah, and later we find out that Beverly D'Angelo is out of this B12 vitamin, so the Goot just took like a shitload of B12 instead of the Valium, which, fine, I guess that makes sense for why he's not dead.
But we're supposed to believe it looks like she's killing him. Like, there's something creepy about, did she just turn him into a ghost?
Oh, I totally thought... That's funny. I totally did not get that at all from this. I thought she was saving him.
Oh, no, I immediately got like, did she just kill him? Because he wakes up and Beverly D'Angelo is completely ignoring him. And he's mouthing off to her and like, well, I'm dead. I can say whatever the hell I want. And I was like, oh, she actually did murder him. But then no.
He's talking a real stream of shit to Beverly D'Angelo, who finally slaps him and is like, fuck off, man. Meanwhile, while that's happening, one of the people who works at the hotel finds Peter O'Toole asleep inside a roll top desk, which is
beautiful.
Just an amazing visual. Yeah, like here's a dude who's like, I don't know, one of the better actors ever.
Lawrence
right?
of Arabia from the film Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah. Okay, yes, thank you. And they're like, hey, Larry, would you crawl? They call him Larry for Lawrence, even though his name's Peter. It's fine. And they're like, hey, Larry, would you get inside that roll top desk? I know you're like 6'5", and that's a small desk, but like it's fine.
Just pop in there.
And Peter friggin' O'Toole is like, yeah, no big deal.
I don't know how. I love that he was so on board for this nonsense.
So the mom is talking to the dead dad, and at this point you realize, like, okay, ghosts are real for sure. This woman can somehow see them, despite the fact that no one else can.
but Steve Goot can. I needed more rules.
Yeah, there are none. So Beverly D'Angelo is like storming down the hallway, and she sees the blood-sucking lawyer and like talks to him for a minute, and then starts kissing him, and then she does a classic like smooch and slap, like "How dare you!" even though she initiated the kiss.
How dare you?
Which I really enjoyed.
So there,
and then
everyone who came to the castle piles back into the van to be like the bus to be like, we're leaving, and they're waiting on
except
Goot.
the Goot, who is having a conversation with Daryl Hannah.
Yeah, she just appeared and was like, "You do love me. I need your help." And it's like, whoa, let's not throw the L word around real quick.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I know they moved quickly back in the olden days, but that is way too quickly for me. So he starts to reject her, and then there becomes this like ghostly wind that's like pushing him out of the room and down the hallway, and then he rolls down the stairs, which is a really nice looking stunt by presumably not the Goot. And then the winds go outside and proceed to just wreak havoc. They're like ripping the car apart. And here's the part that really threw me was Bev D'Angelo like starts to enjoy this.
Yeah, a real 180 on Bev's part. Where
and
like,
I
her
like
clothes
it was
get
so
ripped
weird
off.
that I was like, "Oh,
everyone's clothes get ripped off."
And she's giggling about it, and then she looks at Pete Gallagher's dick and is like, "Oh, I guess they didn't drive all the snakes out of Ireland." Which, like, one is a great line, and hats off to her for it.
Beautiful line, Bev.
But also, like, who is this person? Like, this is not the character we've been hanging out with for an hour.
And it'd be one thing if she like overdosed on Valium before the scene, and like we saw her take too much. Like there was none of that. There was no explanation.
What I thought had happened was Daryl Hannah disappears, and then the wind kicks up. I thought she like jumped into Bev's body somehow.
Oh, I would have liked that.
And we were getting like a real ghost Patrick Swayze inside Whoopi Goldberg situation.
Not yet. Not yet. So they all run inside. Bev's cackling up a storm like a crazy person. And then Goot just casually walks into a talking horse.
Yeah, and he's completely unfazed by the fact that he's talking to a horse.
Why is there a talking horse? Where did he go after this scene?
I have no idea. The horse is in the movie for 1 minute.
Unexplained and written off.
Meanwhile, back at the hotel, the blood-sucking lawyer, who is now wearing some of the suit of armor we saw earlier.
They're all wearing like lampshades and curtains.
Yeah,
it's real
Beverly
fun.
D'Angelo has a lampshade on, and she's honestly kind of rocking it. I'll be honest.
It's like when you a poor man in the 1920s wore a barrel. She's just like holding up
with straps.
Yeah, she's holding up this giant lampshade, so it's like dress shaped, and she's kind of like working it out. It's great.
Yeah. So the lawyer's wearing the suit of armor, and he's like, "I'm not staying here. F this. I'll walk to town." And he takes one step out the front door and gets struck by lightning and launched onto a Frankenstein
An
lifter
impossible
pad.
landing, we'll say.
Well, yes, but also the thing he lands on is the thing that Frankenstein uses to lift the monster up to get struck by lightning. Like, it's a very odd visual choice.
And this is the first instance of me noting that Daryl Hannah's makeup is the perfect blend of beauty makeup and like spooky dead makeup.
Yeah, and then later when she goes full on dead thing, it is so good, like Walking Dead level good that everybody loses their mind over good.
It reminded me of Beetlejuice, the end of Beetlejuice.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Her makeup is awesome all the way through. This Liam Neeson's too, like, is really
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also this movie is available entirely for free on YouTube. We should have mentioned that at the top. It could have been the quality of that we were watching, because I obviously didn't rent it when I could watch it for free. It looked like as we got closer to Halloween, which is like the special day in the movie, their skin tone was coming through, like they were having signs of life, and I wasn't sure if that was just the rip or like that was an intentional thing. If it was intentional, it was very cool.
I agree.
So Goot and Daryl Hannah are flirting, and she's basically like, "Hey, I need a miracle to be human again. You know, go talk to the old lady, and she'll explain it to you."
BT Dub, my abusive, murderous husband, is still around. And
Yeah.
where is he? In the shower with Bev D'Angelo, shirtless for some reason. But I'm not mad
Burping
about
and
it.
farting on her.
Oh, that's the thing. Okay. Can we just talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, we can. That's why I brought it up.
Daryl Hannah's like, my disgusting husband. He's ugly, and he has warts, and he burps, and he farts, and what is squishes? What was squishes? Did you?
I thought that she was saying, like,
He was
between his
squished.
legs.
Okay.
I thought it was saying, like, and his dick don't work.
Got
was
it.
like the Daryl Hannah, the classy way of saying that, but I don't know.
So we're described a man who is ugly and disgusting and warty and farty and burpy and broken dick.
Who, by the way, we have seen already in this movie. We know who she's talking about because we know he killed her.
But, like, then we see him shirtless, and I was like, where did that description come from?
Naked. He's naked.
What?
You see his legs, too, I thought.
No, he's got pants on.
Okay.
He's wearing soaking wet pants and no shirt.
Ah, okay.
And I was like, where did this is not the same person when
But-
you
but-
order it online versus when it arrives.
Yeah, exactly. But also, Bev D'Angelo's in the shower, right? Washing her hair. She's had a stressful day, and she's trying to, like, relax. And then it's like... and she's like, oh, Goots, will you wash my hair? And then she's like, rub my shoulders. Like, this woman has completely changed her character because 20 minutes ago, this character, if she thought her husband farted on her in the shower, would have kicked him in the dick.
And, like, here's the thing. Gutenberg, I believe that you would be that person, burping and farting. Like, your
Absolutely.
characters 100% would have done that.
Absolutely.
So I buy it.
The Goot would have been the kind of guy who Dutch ovens his wife. Like 100%.
Dutch
He's
oven
ripping
the
the
shower.
big one and yanking the covers over her head and finding that hilarious.
But, like, he's speaking with an Irish accent and touching you with hands that clearly aren't Steve Gutenberg. Why does it take
Yeah.
this long?
Yeah, it's just, again, two episodes in a row where people don't recognize people they should instantly recognize.
Yes.
But here's my other thing. So, like, this is the first interaction between Bev D'Angelo and Liam Neeson. I don't understand what her attraction is to this character that she eventually falls in love with. Like, the first instance is he creeps on her in the shower, and she's, like, kind of okay with it, which, like, I get it, Liam Neeson's hot, but, like, it's stupid.
I mean, he can creep in my shower.
But it's
gonna-
pretty dumb, right?
Gonna
Like,
secret
it's
that
pretty...
one into the world. But yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, I have a lot of thoughts about the end of this movie, where a lot of hand waving, everything's fine for two of the shittiest characters in this movie.
Yeah. It's
Like,
very,
he's
very
an
hand-wavy.
abusive murderer.
Yeah.
Like, an ugly abusive murderer is who he's described as, and what we get is
Yeah.
like Liam.
A happy
Neeson-
ending for him.
A happy ending for him, but we get like primo hot Liam Neeson.
Yeah. I don't like it.
I
I don't like
just-
it one bit.
I can't.
So we cut to the blood-sucking lawyer who's doing his best
Whose hair is
Ghostbusters,
still
and he
smoking.
actually, and he looks like Rick Moranis' character.
Oh,
Lewis.
he does.
He's got like the hair zapped out, and he's like all wackadoodle looking. He looks like when Lewis gets attacked by the dog and goes running for help. So he's like searching the castle with some fake doohickey or whatever. Meanwhile,
His
the
kids
kids
get
are
attacked.
bored. Yeah.
It's a really amazing scene that kind of came out of left field in terms of how great it was. They're watching TV, and they say that they're complaining that there's only 4 channels. So they decide to pick up a can or a book or something and throw
It's a
it.
book.
A book. And they throw it into the TV. It goes into the TV, and the person catches it and throws it back.
And then immediately starts like controlling the room with her mind, which is pretty buck wild.
It's crazy. It's very much the scene from Ghost where the bathroom scene in Ghost, where Patrick Swayze's like
definitely
freaking
definitely.
out. Willie Loman. Nope, that's Death of a Salesman.
I think it is Willie though.
I think it's Willie Lopez.
Yes, it is Willie Loman. Willie Loman.
I would love.
I would like to see the version of Death of a Salesman you've just concocted, where the Swayze's character in Ghost is haunting Arthur,
where Willie Loman tries to
and his
kill
kid. I can't
Whoopi
remember his kid's
Goldberg.
name.
I'm so on board for that. So
So the old lady invites Goot in, and she's like, "Hey, ghosts are real. Here's a book of legends you should read to
it
understand
has
what's
the
going
title
on."
of the movie.
So Pete Gallagher is looking out his window and looking at Jennifer Tilly, but in this case, it seems consensual. Like, I think Jennifer Tilly knows his room is there and is doing her leg lotion in view of him on purpose.
Like, these rooms are big. She 100% is doing this so that he'll get a little peep show and come on over.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to share an anecdote. When I was in college, the building that we had was basically like two L's put together. So, like, if you imagine one L facing north with the tip facing north and one L with the tip facing south, and so the two interior parts butted together. And so there were two rooms where if you looked out the window, you could see into the next. My friend's room was the bottom of the L, and if you looked toward the 90-degree angle, you could see into the room over there. And one time on a Friday or Saturday night, there was like a bunch of us in that room, doing things we probably shouldn't have been doing, and I was like leaning on the window, and I looked over and I saw two people that we kind of knew, like, having a good time as two adults, as two adult people might want to do. And I start giggling because, like, that's a funny thing. And then suddenly everyone's like, "What's so funny?" I'm like, well, the blinds are open and they're having some particularly visually interesting adult fun time.
Making whoopee.
And so a bunch of people like rush over to look at this.
As you would, 100% as you would.
And let me be fair here. You could see that they were doing this, but you really couldn't make anything out. You know, like it was far enough away and the lights were dim enough that it's like you could see that they were in bed together, but you couldn't, like, it wasn't like we were watching these people like porno style, right? I mean, again, I probably shouldn't have been doing it, but like whatever. It wasn't as lecherous as this story might sound. Like, it was more giggly and silly. But my favorite part of it was finally the girl whose room we were in was like, all right, this is enough of this. This is enough. And everyone's like, no, it's funny. Ha 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 ha. And she finally just like jumped up and grabbed the window shade and just like yanked it down and was like, okay, enough. Like, enough. We're not doing this anymore. So that always made me chuckle. Anyway, that is not what happens here. What happens is Peter Gallagher starts praying for help, and the creepiest nuns in history, even creepier than that Conjuring 2 nun, start descending out of the walls and
like
the floor and stuff.
It's like the creatures from Spaceballs meets Scary Nun.
Meets the things in Ghost.
Yes, exactly. They have they're nun habits, but there's no face. It's just two piercing red eyes. They set his dick on fire.
Yeah, he asks for a sign that, like, he shouldn't be having these lustful thoughts, and they're like, all right, here's your sign. Fire dick! So he jumps out the window into the pool to save himself. So he jumps, like, 2 stories out the window to save himself. And then cut to Jennifer Tilly, who's also attacked by the nuns, and she jumps out the window. And he, like, basically saves her.
So the blood-sucking lawyer from Jurassic Park's electrocution hair looks exactly the same as Jennifer Tilly's normal hair in this movie.
Yes, it kind of does.
They're literally the same hair.
Yeah. Also, the lawyer is walking down the hallway, and there's a giant statue of a fish, which I guess is probably a whiting, and an arm comes out of the mouth and chokes him, and then he, like, panics and faints, and then the hand, like, wags a finger at him and then disappears.
It's a great jump scare, because it's a spooky-looking arm, and a jump scare is pretty effective.
So, but here's the weird thing. Tilly and the Gallagher are in the pool together, and she's like, why are you in the pool? And he's like, sometimes God sends you a sign, which made me think, like, oh, this character who we should have mentioned was on his final retreat before taking his vow of chastity. Maybe, like, okay, he's fallen in love with Jennifer Tilly and they're going to go to the Bone Town. But then they're barely in the rest of the movie. There's like one more scene with them and that's it. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It's very bizarre. Because they spend so much of this movie is this weird contrived love story between Goot and Daryl Hannah. And, like, they've known each other for 4 hours.
And they also, not for nothing, but they really have no chemistry together.
They really... Well, I'll say it. I don't think a lot of people have a lot of sparkling chemistry with Steve Guttenberg.
If you're going to besmirch the Goot, you put those words back before you take them out, sir.
Like...
You're not wrong, but I would say Ali Sheedy had really good chemistry with him in the Short Circuit movie that we watched.
She did, but he also is clearly more interested in the robot than her.
I mean, yes, but I think Guttenberg has okay chemistry with people. Like, I agree with you. He's not like leading man handsome, and the fact that he had a leading man career for a decade is like kind of
How?
befuddling to me.
Thanks, cocaine.
But he is charming. Like, you got to give him the charm
Oh, he
factor.
definitely has like a charm to him, but I don't like. There's certain people like, oh, they have chemistry with everyone, but he's just not one of those people.
The ideal Steve Guttenberg role is really nice stepdad.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like the perfect Steve Guttenberg role is like, mom has 2 kids, she's marrying Guttenberg, the kids kind of don't like him, and in the end they fall in love with him in a platonic father-kid
Yeah.
way, not in a creepy way. That like they have a relationship at the end. Like, that's the ideal Guttenberg. It's not like sweeping Daryl Hannah off her ghost feet.
For this time period of the Goot, I would say the ideal role for him is like best friend at the architecture firm of the romantic lead.
And he also falls in love with the second female lead.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he falls in love with her best friend.
Yep. I'm with you. And they help get them together, and then they fall in love. Yeah, I agree with you.
That
but
feels
that's
like
not what
his wheelhouse. But everything I'm seeing is just like, he's the leading man. He's the leading man. He's a romantic lead.
Yeah, no. That's all he played. Really, truly, that's all he played.
Because they've known each other for 4 hours. They don't have a lot of chemistry. Apparently, they're madly in love, like deeply in like true love's kiss love, which is just weird for 2 adults.
And now here's the thing. I could see her falling in love with Guttenberg, considering her last 200 years has been repeated murder by the same man. That like she's just
Even
like
if he does
any,
look like Liam Neeson.
any dude who looks at me and is not trying to stab me, I'm into him. Like, sign me up. Like, I get her desire to leap onto the Guttenberg train. I don't quite get how he's jumping in bed with the ghost this quickly.
Yeah, it's just so bizarre. Because this is where Bev D'Angelo comes into the fray of ghosts and goots.
Right.
Which sounds like a new podcast.
Ghosts and Goots. I would listen to that. I would listen to that. She and the Goot watch the scene happen again where Liam kills Daryl Hannah, and he is like, look, they're ghosts. You got to watch this thing. And she kicks Liam Neeson in the dick, which frees him from the loop at the same time that
doesn't show it yet. He tricks her. He fakes her out.
Yeah. So the Goot runs off with Daryl Hannah to try to figure out what's going on there. And then Liam Neeson is like, I'm not really in a loop. Now have sex with me, Beverly D'Angelo. And she's kind of like, well,
I'll think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not off board. I mean, I'm not quite on board, but like, I'm not running in terror, which like,
it's being considered.
Her interactions with this man have been, 1, he burped and farted on her and touched her in the shower without her consent, and 2, he murdered someone in front of her eyes for the millionth time.
It's not even without her consent. It's with her tricked consent in the shower.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that's like, what?
And so she like immediately is trying to have sex with this guy. Is like, you saw him beat this woman and murder her. Like, you watched it happen on a time loop. You know who this is.
It feels like there were about 30 minutes of necessary plot that got cut out of this movie.
Yeah, that they were like, we got to cut our losses. This is a huge flaming turd.
But I feel like it would have been saved if things had been explained. Like, as far as we know, Liam Neeson's character shouldn't have any saving graces. But apparently he does, and Beverly D'Angelo is in love with him.
Yeah,
but
this
again,
movie works
not
way
super
better
explained or shown or built up to.
This movie works way better if it's Guttenberg alone saving Daryl Hannah and vanquishing Liam Neeson.
Yes, I don't think Beverly D'Angelo's character needed to be married to him.
She just doesn't need to be in the movie at all.
Well, I mean, she's there for the plot device of my father owns the castle, which I don't mind.
But we could have done a John Denver Christmas gift on this bad boy, and he could have been the representative from the company coming to check.
Oh, I like that. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and we could have been fine, and we wouldn't have had to have a weird kid with a giant dollhouse see our episode on the Christmas gift with John Denver if you would like more. It's getting close.
You wrote your letter to Santa, right?
But yeah, so it's very, very strange. But anyway, we get a really cool scene where Peter O'Toole kind of rallies the troops and he starts talking to everybody in the castle, and then pieces of the wall start floating past him, and he finally is like, why is the wall floating away? And all of the people who are looking at him are watching these dead bodies crawl out of their graves, which are inexplicably in the wall of the house, by the way.
She mentioned the mom has a throwaway line in the beginning of so-and-so got walled up in a room.
Yeah, but there's like 20 people in there.
I agree. This also
It looks like a catacombsy situation, frankly.
For sure, it does. But I was like, oh, are these the evil, scary ghosts that we have to fight now?
Would have been much better.
No,
Been
it's
so
not.
much better.
Instead, it's just there's a big production of the wall floating away, and then absolutely no payoff.
Yeah, and also most of these ghosts disappear after this. Like, there's some really cool, creepy makeups, very Thriller-esque, and then they are just gone.
Yeah. Like, we do the whole show. We're like, oh, look at the wall breaking apart and floating, and these people crawling down, and it's a full scene, and then they waltz right out of the movie.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lick of sense. So O'Toole has a convo with his dad, who's like, what have you done to my hotel? You're ruining the whole thing, blah, 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 blah. And then we cut to probably my favorite gag in the movie. The chef walks by with a whiting, which is a very small fish, by the way. They must have cut like thousands of whiting. Yeah, for all this food. But the whiting is whistling, and he cuts the head off, and it keeps whistling. And he looks at the blood-sucking lawyer and his wife, and is like, I don't hear anything. Do you hear anything? And they're both like, nope. And this fish is just whistling away underneath them.
So
Whistle,
good.
whistle, whistle.
And then Liam Neeson gets what I think is one of the best reveal entrances in the movie. Bev D'Angelo is sitting on the bed filing her nails, and then the sheets behind her start like rising as though there's a body under them, and then the camera pans around her to reveal, boom, it's shirtless Liam Neeson.
And doing like a real playgirl, like leaning on one arm pose.
It's very Burt Reynolds
Yes.
in that
Yeah,
bearskin
that-
rug thing.
Yes. And again, like, I'd hit it, but also we know he's a murderer, so we shouldn't hit it.
Yeah. Try not to fuck murderers if you can, audience.
Yeah, just don't. Let's take the try. Let's just say, don't fuck murderers. I think that could be a safe rule for the podcast. I think that's okay.
Do your best.
No, don't fuck murderers.
I make no promises. So she like rebuffs him and he goes away, which I guess is their whole courtship essentially.
It's a very like old school cartoon fairy tale where it's like, this dude's a creepy monster, and the female protagonist is like, I don't care, I love him.
It's basically like if Beauty and the Beast cut out the middle part. It was like, I kidnap you in this castle, and then cut to the marriage.
Yep, pretty much.
I was like, I need to see them fall in love. You can't just tell me they're in love.
Sure do. So there's a big booze party because everybody, understandably so, is like, I
How
can't
could you
deal with
not?
this sober. Yeah. So they start getting drunk, and presumably even the children who are also in the room, like, I'd be giving them some wine. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
listen,
Here's a little nip.
God knows, yeah, you're not going to sleep without it.
You might not make it till your 21st.
Yeah, exactly. Then the play decorations and sets they had made start coming to life and animating themselves. And so we get like a big storm at sea, and they're getting water thrown at them. And then there's a whale, and the whale tail comes in the room. And then suddenly it's the Nautilus for some reason, and the squid that they fight the Nautilus. The Nautilus fights. And then the little boy gets picked up by the squid arm, and then gets turned into a flat wooden doll in the.
I really liked that because the whole time I was watching this, I was like, "Wait a minute! They're like wooden flats, and then all of a sudden it's a 3D actual object coming out of them." I was like, "This doesn't make any sense. Like, you haven't explained this. This is just stupid now."
Yeah.
And then the squid picks up the boy with the tentacle and pulls him onto the stage, and like we see the transition of him going from boy, quick fade to him being a flat, and so is the tentacle now. And I was like, oh, never mind. You completely turned me around and got me on your side. This is now super cool.
Yeah, I liked that very much. It was one of the cooler effects in the movie. Meanwhile, Pete Gallagher is doing the Lord's Prayer, and the kid
Aggressively.
gets a lot of Lord's praying, and the kid gets like thrown out of the set back into the real world, which is kind of a cool effect.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Goot and Daryl Hannah, are getting crunk on champagne.
It's a real stupid thing. He's like, he has champagne and they're together. She's like, it's Halloween. I have a real body. We should meet up. And he's like, yes, we should. I'll bring champagne. And then they start kissing and like, we shouldn't do this at all. And I was like, wait, hang on. What? So then they keep making out and be like, we should just be friends like we agreed to. And I was like, when did we agree to that?
Yeah, I don't have any recollection of that. Sorry, guys.
Oh, we also didn't talk about scalping, which is not removing the hair from a person.
It's scalping.
Scalping, like kelp.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Scalping, where a ghost turns into a CGI effect and phases through you sexually and then
Yes.
phases back.
I like the way you put the emphasis on the word sexually in that sentence.
Because that is the only way to describe that.
Yeah, no, it is the perfect encapsulation. It was just very good. I'm complimenting you as all. I also love the phrase "in one's cups," like I'm in my cups or he's in his cups for drunkenness.
Yeah, I
just
like that.
watched I just watched the movie Bone Tomahawk. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it's an old Western horror movie with Kurt Russell. It's quite fun, although pretty gory. But they talk about the doctor being in his cups and they have to get his assistant. And I've never heard the
gonna
phrase
use that.
before that movie. Yeah, I like it.
So all of a sudden, blood-sucking lawyer from Jurassic Park is like essentially pulling a like European tour guide. He extends the antenna of one of his devices, and everyone follows him outside to the edge of the lake, where he just it's a very Michael Scott moment. Like, I declare
Yes, it is.
bankruptcy.
Yes, it is. Yes.
He's like, I declare this house cleansed, and I was like, wait, that's what you were doing? There was no spectacle.
Nope.
And like, here's the thing, buddy. Even if the real process of cleansing a house doesn't involve a spectacle, people want a show.
Yeah, they do. You got to give them a show. Meanwhile, the Goot and Daryl Hannah are like dry humping, and then like getting more naked, and then like, we shouldn't do this. We should do this. We shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do this. We should do this. Okay, and then they bone down, and like it's kind of like that scene in Buffy where she and Angel get. Is it her and Angel? Her and Spike, where they tear the whole house down.
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that, where like these magical effects just start happening all over the place as they're happening. And meanwhile, the bus drives out of the river. I guess it wasn't amphibious because it's sunk in there. Mm-hmm. And Liam Neeson is driving it like, I'm coming for you, honey. Like, wait, no, you killed that woman. She's not like your beloved. What are you doing?
Well, no, he's coming for Bev D'Angelo.
Oh, that makes
He
more
is
sense.
actively
yeah,
pursuing
that's right. You're
Beverly
right. Yeah, you're
D'Angelo.
right. You're right. I just my
He's
note
like,
was
I
bad.
skipped
You're
my
correct.
wedding murder for you for the first time in 200 years,
Yeah.
so I could
Sorry.
bus murder you.
So as he pulls the bus out of the thing and drives to the castle, like all hell breaks loose. It's like the scene in Ghostbusters where the Titanic comes to port and just like ghosts spill out of it and start wrecking havoc.
It's
so
just,
like
there's again no explanation for anything. The bus
Yeah.
can shoot out evil ghosts now.
yeah, and they look kind of like the nuns without the habits on, so it's just
Yeah.
very confusing. And it makes it out to be that like Liam Neeson is some ghost lord, which is never explained either.
It's also
But
never
my-
explained what's been what is haunting the house, because it's not Daryl Hannah and Liam Neeson.
Right, it's something else. But I do really like the scene where Pete Gallagher and Jennifer Tilly are there, and the ghosts are attacking Jennifer Tilly, and he's like, "Oh, Father, take me instead, and they do. But then when they like smash cut away from this, they're not in the movie again.
Nope, not till the end. When
Like, you
he's not
see
a
them in
priest anymore.
passing, yeah. But it's like it just it's a very weird movie.
So we cut back to Goot, and there's a ghoul hand on him, and he kisses his way up Daryl Hannah, and she has become a monster.
Yeah, she looks like that zombie in the first season of The Walking Dead that was only a top half.
Yeah, it's very amazing.
Yeah, it's
And-
fantastic.
And he's like, "Oh God!" and jumps out of bed like a monster. And he's like, he's like remembering the phrase from the book of High Spirits, and he's like, "He who bones a ghost will make a corpse," essentially.
Yeah.
And he's
Which is
such
what he did.
a dickbag about it.
Yeah.
She's like, "You said you loved me. This is kind of a big deal for the spell to be broken that isn't explained, but there's a spell apparently." And he's like, "Yeah, maybe let's be friends. Let's just chat and a handshake." And it's like, bro, you knew this was going to happen. You did it anyways. Now deal with it.
Here's the thing, though. If you're in this situation and you're like, if we bone down, the spell is broken, and the way that the spell is broken is that she becomes a 200-year-old corpse, I don't think I'm still in love with the corpse.
But he knew that was going to happen.
I don't think he quite understood it, is what I'm suggesting.
Well, I think the book essentially says, like, he who bones a ghost will make a corpse, or like bring the flesh to life.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying Gutenberg is stupid.
I don't know. It just annoyed me that, like, this man we've been following this whole time who blindly decided he was going to help this castle full of strangers fight off his father-in-law is all of a sudden just like general dickbag over here.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It is a weird turn. Meanwhile, Liam Neeson crashes the bus into the castle, and then there's like a little tete-a-tete with Liam Neeson, Beverly D'Angelo, the corpse of Daryl Hannah, and Gutenberg, where Bev D'Angelo's like, "Oh, you fucked a ghost, huh? Well, I'm gonna fuck this ghost," and it's like
you can
this
have
very,
him.
Yeah,
you can have
yeah,
him, Daryl Hannah. I'm taking your husband.
Yeah. And it's like, you know that guy's a murderer. Like, what is this movie?
And even if he's not a murderer, he's still an abuser. Like,
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
layers here. There's shitty layers here.
Yeah. So he, like, runs off. Beverly D'Angelo's chasing him. Daryl Hannah's like, "Look, motherfucker, like, you gotta kiss me or I'm gonna die. Like, you did this to me. Finish it so I can be done with this."
Look what you have created, buddy.
Yeah. So
And
he kisses her, and they like have a real long kiss, and you know she eventually like starts fading and becoming alive, which is pretty.
She becomes pretty and disappears.
Yeah.
And then Liam.
Well, no,
Neeson-
she does. She
disappears.
disappears. But she disappears simultaneously to the moment where Beverly D'Angelo like tries to run into the arms of Liam Neeson, who has perched himself in a window, so that when she runs at him, she falls out a goddamn window
and dies because he's
yeah. So they like simultaneously. Daryl Hannah disappears as Beverly D'Angelo dies, and I do think that is important that it happens simultaneously.
Fair enough.
I think it's like trading a life, basically.
Not that that's ever explained.
No, but I think like logically watching the movie that has to be relevant, but it does not tell you that.
So the goot goes outside, and in Beverly D'Angelo's clothes that she was wearing when she jumped out the window is Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Good enough for me."
So everybody packs up and leaves, and the blood-sucking lawyer is like, "This is the best haunted attraction hotel in the world. I'm going to give you the best reviews, blah, 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 blah." Goot just like lives in the castle with Daryl Hannah now, I guess.
So now they have two mouths to feed that they didn't have before.
Yeah, and also, like, Beverly D'Angelo died. Like, a funeral needs to be arranged.
Her father is rich and owns the castle. You lost the castle now. Like, my daughter died there. You're done.
Yeah. And also, like, Steve Gutenberg, you should probably look a little upset about the fact that your wife died, or people are going to think you murdered her.
Because, so he and Daryl Hannah's now in, like, an 80s outfit. Something at a mannequin.
Yeah, it is really shoulder patty.
And, like, they're dancing, and all of a sudden, in strolls friggin' Liam Neeson and Bev D'Angelo wearing Daryl Hannah's ghost wedding dress. And they're like, "The day is for the living, the night is for the dead." And they switch dance partners and chat and catch up, because it's all casual here.
Yeah, it's like, where does this scene come from? And also, like, what? Beverly D'Angelo is way too chill about being dead.
Dead AF. But, like...
And also, like, here's the thing, right? Now, we're going to get into some pseudo-religion here a little bit, but stay with me, buckle up. When you get married, the vow is till death do us part. But when two ghosts get married, there is no end.
Well, I mean, assuming they got married.
Well, they're wearing wedding clothes, Andrew.
Yeah, well, because What's-Her-Face died on her wedding night.
Well, I'm just saying, now she's in a wedding dress, and she has a literal murderer to spend the rest of her life with, and she is just totally chill with
Because he's
that.
a nice guy now.
Yeah. What? That is like textbook abusive shit.
All of a sudden, he's cool now, and everyone's happy with everything. Let's
I
live
don't
in this
like
castle for the rest of forever with the ghosts of our exes who are now in a relationship with each other. What?
Yeah, like Goot and Daryl Hannah need to get the hell out of there. And also, let's not spend too much time thinking about the fact that Daryl Hannah sprung into existence as a person in her mid-30s who has previously been dead for hundreds of years, and so has to now assume a new identity and do all of the things that you have to do to be a human
But her
being
face
in the
looks
80s.
the same.
Yeah.
She didn't
Good
get that
luck.
D'Angelo's face.
Good luck figuring all of that shit out. No wonder they don't leave the castle. She can't ever be seen in public.
Yeah.
She has no ID. She has no record of existence.
No social security card.
I mean, if you want to do some money laundering, she'd be helpful, but that's
she'd be
about the
great.
list. So that's the end of the movie. What are your final thoughts on the first half of our spooktacular?
I don't know, man. It was like friggin' weird. Apparently, this was not the movie the director intended.
What did he want it to be?
Allegedly, he said, what did he say? Director Neil Jordan has always maintained the release version of the film is very different from the one shot. He was more or less excluded from the editing process of the final cut. He insists that his version is still locked away in a vault.
But he doesn't indicate if it was like scarier or how it was different?
No. But Daryl Hannah was nominated for a Razzie for this movie.
Huh. That surprises me. I didn't think it was that bad.
She wasn't the worst part.
Yeah, no, I think that's silly. I think there are some really cool parts to this, but overall it's kind of a mess. I mean, it's probably fine background noise, but I definitely wouldn't recommend this to you.
It's a real soft recommend.
Yeah, like it's acceptable to put on while you're doing other stuff, but I would not like sit down to watch High Spirits, despite the fact that the makeups are really cool.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see Peter O'Toole. We have never
It was
had
cool to see
such-
this entire star-studded A-list cast.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. Really a lot of famous people in this movie, which is kind of buck wild. Do you have a different Halloween movie you'd like to recommend?
Oh.
I feel like we do this every year and hit the same things repeatedly, so I don't know if you've seen anything new that you'd like to throw in there.
Well, we're going to discuss it when we record the next episode, I think.
Yeah, we'll probably do a
Back to the
bonus
Future.
episode.
Um,
You could say that. You can recommend it. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll recommend the new It. It's amazingly done. The kids are great. The design is great. The tone, everything about it just is a really well done movie.
I'm excited. I'm going to see it tomorrow as of this recording, which I will have seen it a while ago when you guys hear this. Bone Tomahawk was really cool, although it's fairly gory. It's gorier than most of the stuff I like, but it was cool to see an Old West version of a horror movie. Some interesting like cannibal kind of stuff going on in there. I dug the heck out of that. Plus, Kurt
What year is
Russell,
that?
Like 2 years ago, maybe.
Oh, okay.
It's on Amazon Prime streaming. Yeah, I'd throw that out, and then we will maybe throw another one of these at you next time when we've had time to think about it, and not just the 8 seconds in which I came up with this idea at the end of this recording session.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you would like more from the show, dissectingthe80s.com has all that good stuff, including the Hall of Fame, which Andrew still owes me for his entry from 2016. So enjoy seeing half of that anyway. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/dissectingthe80s, sometimes on Instagram at dissectingthe80s, and it's dissect the 80s on Twitter. Don't forget to check out on one of those channels the very awesome artwork by Steve Becker that was for our anniversary of Andrew and myself being interviewed by Mean Gene Okerlund. Very, very cool thing for a wrestling nerd like myself. And please, 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 the two most important things. We love doing the Spooktacular. It's usually some of our most interesting stuff, I think. So why don't you send this to a friend who's never heard the show before? Or a different episode if you like that different one better. That's fine. I'm not picky, but tell two friends. Podcasts are the best pyramid scheme because they're totally free. So tell two friends, and then they'll tell two friends, and then suddenly we have an empire. That's what we're going for here, is total global domination. We'd also love your review. If you could review us on iTunes, we will read it on the air. That would be much appreciated as I break my equipment. 856-DISSECT if you want to leave us a message. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. We will be back in 2 weeks on October 23rd with
Haunted Honeymoon.
another perhaps comedy, perhaps horror comedy about a haunted house. Thank you once again for listening. I have been Trip Lano.
I will always be Andrew Leno.
Until next time.
Don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production.